Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Artist Alchemy. I'm David Reed with the YubaSutterArts&Culture Council. And it's a great pleasure to welcome our guest this week, Miss Diane Funston. Hi, Diane.
Hi, how are you?
Very well. So great to see you, so to speak, quote unquote, as we say to our guests. It's a virtual world. I know you're no stranger to this environment. You're a regular on Zoom meetings, I think, all over the country, talking about poetry and literary arts and other grand.
It's been a lifesaver.
Oh gosh, isn't it though? It's been amazing. You know, we've reinvented ourselves and we've learned a lot. I think there's some things we'll take forward no matter what happens in the months ahead. Like me, Diane's a fairly recent transplant. You came here after I did. I've been here for about 10 years. And you and Roger came in what, 2015?
Yes, 2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
I should also mention that Diane's our new poet in residence at YubaSutterArts&Culture, and we'll be running a number of poetry programs over the next year for us. And
yes,
but no big
it's very
deal.
Exciting.
You do that anyway, so it's a piece of cake for you. Diane's been a regular at our monthly open mic poetry events the last couple of years, and of course those are now virtual too, and as are all these other things that we do. You've also helped out with our Poetry Out Loud high school poetry recitation program, I think, and judging for our Scholastic Writing Awards. We don't know how those are going to pan out in the next school year. I know the school districts are still trying to figure out what school is going to look like in the fall. There are a lot of different plans and options, and gosh. So other than all of those changes, how is your life during the times of COVID-19?
Busy. Actually busier than non-COVID because I'm in groups all over. So instead of having to kind of be within Marysville or Nevada County, maybe Sacramento, I'm doing a lot of groups across country. I'm doing my Rochester groups.
Your hometown, right? Rochester,
yes,
New York? Yeah.
Rochester, New York. And I'm in a Boston group and various things around the country that are popping up, even Finger Lakes area of outside of Rochester, New York. There are a lot of things going.
Area?
Not so much. More Corning and Watkins.
I just like saying Skinny-Atlas. It's just one of those words that are fun to say and harder
they
to
are
spell.
Wonderful words. Yes. The Finger Lakes themselves have some wonderful words. Canandaigua and all kinds of things. But
so these groups are poetry groups?
Yes.
Primarily,
poetry and writing. Some of them are prompt groups. I'm in a prompt group that meets in Sacramento, and now I'm almost an hour and a half from Sacramento, so I wouldn't be physically going, but I'm attending every week now because of Zoom. So Zoom has just...
Explain what a prompt group is.
A prompt group in poetry or writing is when someone gives you an idea, and we call it a prompt, and then everyone in that group, whether they're live at a table or on Zoom or another program, writes to that prompt. So say you had, I don't know, some of them are very abstract, COVID-19 would be an abstract thing.
Sure.
And others might be walking in the woods and wherever that takes you, or your favorite animal, or things you wish you would have said to your parents, or any number of things.
Yes.
And then everyone writes on the same topic. And then you go around and everyone reads, if they want to, on what they wrote. And and everyone comes up with something totally different from one another. So
I love that idea.
It's very spontaneous, it's very fun. And the worst that could happen is you're stumped on the prompt, but you think of something else while you're turning it over and you write on that, and it's off topic.
Oh, nice.
So,
do you ever get in a situation where the prompt is not so much subject matter as format? So like write a Elizabethan sonnet or write a haiku or Or
Haiku, yes. Haiku or sonnets are a little bit more, depending on your group, you would have to explain
right.
the entire format, and then that would take some time away. So
I sat in on one of Tom Galvin's open mic poetry events a couple of months ago, and the prompt, if you will, then was to write a Shakespeare sonnet,
oh yeah,
14
yes.
lines, and I did one. I haven't written a poem in years. It was kind of neat though, where you have to follow that
It's a
form. Or
challenge.
oh my gosh, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I want to
It
do it
is a
again.
challenge. Some people love format, and other people, and I have to say I'm in this group, it's kind of a straitjacket.
Really?
You
Yeah.
feel, I feel, because I'm constantly thinking, oh, wait a minute, I have too many syllables, or the rhyme scheme has to fit. And that takes away from my free flowing creativity.
Right.
Kind of gives me a headache in a
So you're
way.
more of a kind of the school of E. E. Cummings kind of thing. Let's just blow it off the
Yes.
page and
Yeah, Walt Whitman.
yeah.
There's a lot of layering in poetry. There's what we could call first level viewing. It's about an apple, or maybe it's about all the different types of apples, and maybe the apple is a metaphor, and it's talking about something else, and that's
How biblical of you.
could be an onion too.
Don't eat that apple.
Yes, that's true. But that's kind of more what I love, is not the restraint of form, but
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Well, I know that you've gone through a great personal tragedy with a fire in your home in Marysville, and you've been
yes,
dealing with that for months and months and months, and you had to relocate your home and pets and are you in Nevada City or
we're in Penn Valley.
Penn Valley?
Just
Okay,
just just
Nevada County.
before Grass Valley. Yeah, Nevada
Not that
County.
far, but not far enough where you're not going to want to run back and forth more than you have to.
Far enough where it's almost 30 miles one way. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you have construction on 20,
Oh,
and
that's
then
right.
you take the other way to avoid that. And then sure enough, they have construction starting there now with, one lane. And so it does take a while. Yeah, we had our fire on New Year's Eve.
Oh my gosh,
And
is that what it was?
they have yet to start the house because of COVID. You can only have so many people in the house.
Right.
The permits are slow.
Oh.
It's a mid-century house, so there was asbestos, and they have to take apart more and more of the ceiling to expose more rafters, and then materials are slow. It's we'll be here probably to ring in the new year here, the way it looks.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so sorry.
But,
so is the poetry and all that you're kind of manic and keeping busy with your poetry, is that just part of your process? Does that help in any way to get through this crazy time?
It does. It does. Well, without Zoom, there would be almost no social life right now.
Yeah.
And so you keep track of friends and groups and hobbies and what I call life's blood is creativity. If it wasn't for that, you'd be saying, well, we can't meet this month. We'll see about next month. And well, now we're in this month. We can't meet that.
Yeah.
You see everything come across in the early time, canceled. And some of those things have not gone online. And who knows when. Like the schools, you have no idea when they'll come back. And even things like the Peach Festival, how would you put that online? So you hope that a lot of things will come back next year. And I see they're canceling some things in January already. So
right, all the high school sports have been moved to at least December, if not January. So yeah, and we're in the same boat at YubaSutterArts with any of our live events. A lot of them, of course, are school-based arts and education programs, field trips. We've got grant money sitting in the bank to fund these things, and it's not going anywhere, but we certainly can't put it to good use. Our theater, of course, remains locked up, dormant. Our art galleries are, particularly our main gallery. It's just and
hard. It's really not the same seeing a gallery visually on Zoom.
We've
You
done
know,
some of
you,
that. Yeah, we've looked at some of those. Like the
hmm
Crocker does a good. I mean, hey, look at any
yeah,
museum in the
yeah,
world right now, and they've got something online. But no, it's
that's
not.
true.
You
It's
can't
not
really
the
quite
same.
see the brush strokes or
Yeah, texture, especially
all of
texture.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so what? I know you're a multi-talented artist, and I think of the poetry always, but I'm also very familiar with your mosaic work. Which came first? Were you a poet? Were you a visual artist, or did they
Oh,
evolve?
definitely poetry.
Poetry. Okay, that's kind of what I thought, but I never asked you that question before. So, how
Yeah,
did the one lead to the other, or how'd you get involved in mosaics?
well, they were kind of two separate things. I've been writing poetry since I was 14,
Really? Okay.
and I've been doing mosaics for approximately 2.5 years.
Oh, so that's brand new.
So it is, maybe three. Yeah.
Oh,
And again, I moved to Marysville and I looked around to see something that I could get into, and there weren't any writing groups. And I heard there were writing things in the past. And,
mm-hmm.
I got involved in one writing group that didn't turn out too well and kind of looked around and meetup groups and everything came up Sacramento, Sacramento,
Right.
Sacramento. And there was a group for women in Sacramento that met during the day. And I thought, well, at that time, it was 40, 45 minutes, if you didn't go in traffic time
Right.
to get there to Midtown. And I started going, and they offered a class in mosaics.
Oh,
And I took it. I've tried painting, and I've tried watercolor and acrylics and ceramics and different things, glass fusion. And, those things require having a kiln. And then I tried mosaics, which basically on your worst day requires breaking dishes. So hey, you can get dishes anywhere,
sure.
old dishes in a thrift store or whatever, break them up and experiment with different glues and different mediums. And then I kind of got into what I called mosaic add-ons. And I would do, say, birdhouses, and you would find things again. Some you may have at home, that you could kind of add on. I found some salt and pepper shakers that were bees, and of course the bee would go on the birdhouse, or a little
Oh,
cat ceramic looking in the hole, and
oh,
it became very whimsical. And
love it.
I started, doing basic mosaics with the broken pieces of dishes and pottery. And then I would look around for all of these add-ons. And I started collecting add-ons and collecting them. And then you would fit them to whatever it was. And that would make that piece unique. So someone would say, oh, I want the birdhouse with the bees, or the one with the cat looking in the hole. Or so then you would, in your own
Yeah.
mind, oh, that's the one they need.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's
and
so
then
fun.
yeah, and it led to other things like,
You've done
say,
tables. I think I've seen tables you've done.
tables. Yes, I've done several tables, and I've done plaques for the garden and different things for the garden, actually, besides birdhouses, but more plaques you would put on a stick or onto your patio wall.
Right.
And then I got started with old windows. A friend of mine gave me some old windows, wooden ones,
Yeah.
and I used colored glass glued onto the windows, and it kind of was like a stained glass window. You'd put it in a regular modern window, and it would catch the light from the sun.
Oh,
And I've done several of those. And you can kind of go anywhere with it, really,
sure.
because you're dealing in glass. And I found a little place in Gridley where I could get scrap glass from people who do stained glass,
Oh, wow.
and I could get that and use that for the more translucent work, windows or whatever, and some on the birdhouses.
Nice.
And it worked out very well.
Oh,
So
so
that's
it's an
been, I was
evolving art form for you, going in a lot of
yeah,
different directions.
it is it's
I
kind of
like.
always experimenting.
I
And
and not to put you on the spot about the art history aspect of mosaics, but I mean that idea of using shards of, I guess, discarded or intentionally broken material. I mean, it really is an ancient thing. Those.
Very, very old.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I remember we were at the Getty Museum in L.A. In January, and they had some samples of ancient, Greek mosaics. And you look at these things, and they're just so, the way they pop off the wall. They had pieces on the wall they might have been flooring to begin with, but just gorgeous what you can do with it.
And I'm thinking of doing a wall, half a wall in my bathroom, my master bath, when we move back in the house at some point. But
right.
It's
Next
kind
year.
of a,
Right.
yes,
Fingers
kind of an
crossed,
experiment.
Dan. Fingers crossed, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So you said you started writing poetry when you were 14 or so. So you've had the passion for it for a long, long time.
Yes. Yes. I had a very good English teacher.
I was going to say, was there an inspirational teacher involved? Sounds like there was.
Yes. Mr. Hellberg, when I was in 7th grade back in Rochester, New York. And he would take song lyrics of the time, as Simon and Garfunkel, Bob Dylan, and he would put it side by side with, say, Walt Whitman, Emily Dickinson, and read the lyric through. And then you would kind of riff off of that. And I remember my first poem. It helped that I had a crush on this teacher.
Oh gosh. One of those deals. Yeah.
It really did. I wrote and wrote and wrote. And my first poem was I Feel, in kind of Whitman style. And like every line was I feel, I feel. It went on for 3 or 4 pages. It's like now it would be, wow, he must have had patience. But,
what a sweet story.
and it was kind of, that's where I got started.
All right, you got hooked. Do you still have the poem? You still have that poem?
I don't think I have that one, but I do have a little. Then I got into, of course, the rhyming poems.
Yeah.
And, my dog Spot, and, which I actually had a dog Spot. And the dog passed on, and so I wrote an elegy for Spot. And it kind of went from there. And eventually, fortunately for us all, I got out of rhyme and kind of developed my own style of things. So,
love it.
Yes,
love it. So that was all back in Rochester.
Yes.
Shores of Lake Ontario. We've talked over the couple of years, and I've been there. I used to have a client, Wegmans Supermarkets, which is for those who may have been to a Wegmans, you know what we're talking about. But my son lives in Virginia, and they've moved way south now, and right near where he lives outside Washington, D.C., there's a big, beautiful new Wegmans supermarket. And they're just gorgeous stores, beautifully lit. I mean, it's everything you'd hope for.
There is no store like Wegmans, not Whole Foods, not Trader Joe's, not Rayleigh's, nothing, Bel Air, nothing you can think of.
They've got all of those elements, but it's like on steroids and just so beautifully done. Some of them have the full restaurant and bar. The one near my son does. They have entertainment on weekends. It's like a cultural center.
It's amazing. And you can actually get something to eat, sit there, watch people, which is always entertaining.
You bet.
And they have so many little shops within the store. And it's just, the best produce. It's just, wow. There's nothing like it.
I love it every time I go to visit my son. Whenever that'll happen again, I'll go to the
Well, that's
Wegmans.
true. I would be in Rochester every summer. I go to visit family and friends, but not this year. So.
Well, and Rochester, isn't that the home of Kodak, the photo industry giant? Do they still have a presence there? Or?
They have a small presence. They have their office building yet, but from what I understand, they're renting out space. Their factories they tore down.
Did they?
Wow. Yeah. George Eastman is buried in the parking lot somewhere in an undisclosed grave of Kodak Park. So if they turn that into something else, which there's always talk of, he'll still be buried underneath whatever comes up. So
what a legacy. My father was a photographer, and I was the first part of my life, and boy, I was a major sponsor of Kodak. Let's put it that way. I kind of stuck with what I learned on and burned through thousands of rolls of Kodachrome and Plus X, Tri-X, and all that good stuff. So got a place in my heart forever. Also with Rochester, as you know, we've got some events coming up in August to commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the passage, or the enactment actually, of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, or at least white women. But,
Yes.
you know, there's some issues around all of that. But they were heading in the right direction. But what's the deal with Rochester? Wasn't it a center of the suffragist movement in the early days, even
Oh,
before?
Susan B. Anthony.
Was
Yes.
she, is she from there or live there? Or?
Yes, her home is there. Her home is now a museum, which
Okay.
I've been to many times. She has a Seneca Falls, which is in the Finger Lakes, was where they had the first convention.
Was
And
that
they have museums there.
1840s,
Yeah,
1848, I want to say?
yeah, in
So
that
way
general
before.
area. Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
they had Elizabeth Cady Stanton. I
Stanton,
mean, a
yes.
lot of people were from the area. And just wonderful. And of course, Frederick Douglass, you know, who was a good friend of Susan B. Anthony's.
Okay.
And they have a bench, a commemorative bench in a little park right across from her home, where they have a statue of Susan B. and Frederick Douglass on the bench in conversation with each other, with having tea.
Oh, I'd love to hear
So
that
it's just,
conversation.
oh, it's wonderful. And yeah, Rochester is very diverse. It's very progressive in my mind. Some of the rural areas, like anywhere, not so much, but Rochester itself, you know, has always been much more progressive. So it was shocking to come to California and find out, wow, it's not what I thought it was going to be. But
well, so before we leave Rochester and get you out to California or wherever your next stop was, I gather, as a big city, it had a pretty thriving art scene and lots going on.
Yes, yeah. They have a literary center. It's called Writers and Books.
Wow.
And it's in an old building that was like a firehouse. It's all brick building. And, you know, when I went to the Sacramento Poetry Center, which was also around for decades, and they said they had a library, and they have basically a couple of shelves of poetry books. And, you know, I might have said something foolish at the time, like, is that the library? Because Writers and Books has room after room after room of not only poetry, but authors' biographies and city history. And they have so many classes there, which now are on Zoom too. And I just registered today for a reading there. And they also have a lot of coffee house, well, pre-COVID coffee house readings. And when I go back there, there's one that I go to every summer. And that's been in existence since the 70s. And I remember being part of it in the 80s. And now, of course, we're all older, but we're still reading.
Oh, that's so cool.
And lots of art in Rochester, lots of colleges, lots of art.
That's
art
what
festivals
I
every year.
I didn't get to spend that much casual time there on my business trips, but I had a sense of the community with some people that lived there that I worked with, plus calling on Wegmans and getting to know Danny Wegman and his wife a little bit. Pretty interesting, charismatic folks, and very arts minded, as I recall.
Yes, they
great, great town, great place. So how'd you wind up in California? Where did that transition occur?
Well, I can blame it on my ex-husband.
Oh, okay. So was it Rochester to California?
Rochester to California, San Diego area.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was going to be wonderful, and was very conservative town.
Oh, yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting. If you're in Rochester or any place back east, you kind of have the image of California as Berkeley in the 60s.
Oh, wild hippie land.
Wild hippies, people eating all kinds of health food, you know, everything.
Way.
No.
No way.
San Diego was not like that. The weather was wonderful. But basically, my kids were 10, 5, and 3 when we landed in San Diego area, and my ex was in his graduate program for his doctorate in philosophy, in psychology. He
Oh,
was a clinical psychologist.
wow.
And, we were there for 5 years, 6 years altogether. And it had a lot of art too,
Oh,
but
yeah.
again, you're working, and we were living about 30 miles from San Diego proper.
You're out, weren't you in
And
Temecula?
close,
Close to
Escondido.
Temecula? Out that way, though, yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. So again, to go on a Friday night or Saturday night back, the traffic and
Ain't gonna happen.
freeways, and yeah. So,
Ain't gonna happen.
you were kind of stuck. And
Yeah.
there were things to do. Now, North County, where I was, has a lot more going on. But at that time, people in San Diego proper didn't want to drive up to North County. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, see, through the power of Zoom now, we're all connected and,
true.
Works
Yeah.
great. All right. So then, and from there, did you make the transition
From there to Tehachapi.
Tehachapi? Okay. Yeah. We've talked about that too, because we had a connection there. My grandfather worked for Monolith Cement Company, and they had the big cement factory right there. Is that Highway 14 that goes right through town?
58.
50. Okay. 58. Sorry. But, and we went there many times and hiked and hunted in the hills back up there behind the factory and the limestone quarry.
Yeah.
There were some Indian sites there that were pretty fascinating. And so I
Yeah,
knew that area pretty well.
Kawaatsu. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the grinding stones and
Right.
things they had. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you were. So did you find any poetry in Tehachapi?
I founded a poetry group in Tehachapi.
Okay.
There was, again, everyone said, oh, it's an artist community. And there were a lot of painters, visual artists,
Huh.
and there were novelists, and there were playwrights and theater, but there was not poetry. And I thought, well, maybe everyone is like me, looking out the window at the nature and writing it down, all by themselves. So I did advertise for poets who wanted to get together.
Wow.
And at the same time, a small, now gone bookstore was opening up, and they wanted to have featured things in their bookstore. And so they had authors come in and talk. And there were several people in the area that had written, again, novels or plays. Jack Palance, the actor, lived there.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. I love him.
Oh, yeah. Ran into him.
Paladin TV series.
Yeah. Ran into him several times in grocery store, a Chinese restaurant. And he was there until he passed on. He had a ranch up there.
Okay.
And he came in and read. He also wrote poetry.
Wow.
And had a poetry book and read from that. And they would have readings of various people. So they had the comfy couch area, and we settled our group there. And it's still going on. It was founded in 2001. So.
Good for you. What a beautiful legacy, huh?
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
for you.
I'm still in touch with, the people in the group, and
you're the Johnny Appleseed of the poetry world here, just
sprinkling words and
spreading that
seeds,
fruit everywhere. You bet. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I was there. I haven't been to Tehachapi for a couple of years, but I saw the new museum. Did you have anything to do with the history museum there? Or?
Have gone there. Yeah.
It used to be a little building on the side of 58 there on the road, and my father had kind of helped get that thing started. He always lived in LA, but because of that old family connection to Tehachapi, he was pretty passionate about that local history. And then I saw the new history building, and they've really come a long way.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they have. Yeah.
And then, of course, the wind farms. Were you there when they put the windmills up, or were they controversial?
Yeah, because everything from, damaging the hillside and looking ugly. They're very eerie in the snow. They really are very eerie looking in the snow, to harming birds.
Yeah.
To,
it's an odd mixed blessing, isn't it?
It really is, because we need the alternative energy, but on the other hand, it's not without its own problems.
Tough on those golden eagles out here, particularly.
Yeah. Yeah, especially.
Jay. You were talking a lot about about poetry. Would you care to share a poem or?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, if that's okay.
Oh,
Let me
please. I'll
see.
turn it over to you.
I have a Rochester poem,
It's like
actually.
a picture's worth 1,000 words and a poem's worth at least that.
Okay, this is called Cottage Industry. Working class cottages hold no interest for speculators or those who wish to restore the elegance of 19th century high button splendor, top hats and tails, calling cards in the foyer. Working class cottages always held the laborers, factory workers on the line, Eastman Kodak Assembly, Bausch and Lomb, Hickey Freeman, immigrant hands, stitching suits and making buttons. Working class cottages raised up those who washed other people's clothes in other people's kitchens, fed other people's children, came home to hungry mouths of their own, crying, "Mama, mama," poor tired mama, working fingers to the bone. Working class cottages, no gingerbread trim, no turrets or parquet floors, nothing to restore except strength so the body can work, soundness so the mind can continue in a top-down society where Queen Anne's become gentrified and the workers run down. Painted ladies wait at the table while servants sweep the floor. But working class cottages still stand in rows of solidarity, a comforter of many colors in a shelter against the storm. While the Victorian tiered fortresses adorn the National Registry, they cannot be altered. The cottages adapt, evolve, diverse, united, and strong.
I love your imagery. It's just so exact and just pops out, and it's just, oh, that was a beauty.
Thank you.
Viva la working class, right?
Oh, well, my family came from the working class cottages, and my grandfather was a maintenance man for Kodak, and it was a Kodak neighborhood, most people working on the line, or stitching in Hickey Freeman made men's suits.
Yeah, I knew the name when I hadn't thought of it in years, and then Wash and Loam also.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Yep.
So Kodak, it was almost like a factory town sort of thing, right?
Definitely. Xerox
Major
was
employer.
there. Yeah, definitely.
Where's IBM? Was IBM there, or are they Syracuse?
Oh, they weren't in Rochester.
They weren't. They were somewhere
sure. No.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but we
Western
had
New York.
Taylor Instruments and Delco and a lot of different things. Gleason Works, and so many things that are gone now. It was a very industrial city that a lot of inventions too. The mail chute and thermometer. I mean, there's just so many things it's hard to even remember. Yeah. A lot of bottling factories too. Breweries, of course.
Yeah.
Good old Genesee Brewery, which overlooks the High Falls. Oh. And, a place I might be today if COVID wasn't here.
I know. But, we were supposed to be back in Virginia with my son and his family. So, yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I've talked to people that have traveled. I mean, people are traveling for various reasons, mostly out of necessity. Losing a family member and getting on a plane and flying back home to take care of family business, or going back for medical reasons to various places. And I've heard the experience has been okay. The airlines seem to be doing the safety part well, but I guess given a choice.
If you don't have to go,
right.
The middle seat, I think, is vacant in some of them.
Yeah.
And I think that would help, and having all the disinfectant things. But
sure.
But I think you'd always think. We went to my middle son's wedding in Humboldt County, which has very few cases.
I saw that. Beautiful. Yeah.
And it was very socially distant, with masks and 6 feet apart and sleeping outside in tents. And The wedding was on the beach,
Oh, nice.
and everything was very
Plenty of fresh
safely
air.
done. But yeah, but you still
Beautiful.
kind of count the 14 days after you come back.
I know, right?
Just, it's
Oh.
in your mind. But yeah, so
that poem is obviously informed by all your history there in Rochester and all those experiences. What's inspiring you today? I mean, there's certainly plenty of content, if you will. I mean, are you writing about COVID specifically, or
I've
what other?
written a couple of things about COVID, which for me has not been all that negative because so much more has opened up. I have a lot of time to work on the mosaics. I have time to write, and I'm in so many writing groups now that I'm probably in a Zoom meeting. I think except for Saturdays, there is kind of a regular Zoom group that meets almost every day for something.
So if somebody needs a poetry meeting hookup, you're the person that they should contact.
Yeah.
Everybody hear that? Contact Diane for a Zoom poetry party, every day of the week.
And what's wonderful too is if there's something going on the East Coast at 7:30, well, it's 4:30 here, and you
That's
can
easy.
do a 7:30 Pacific time thing. So you can actually get two things in. It's amazing. So
we have a support group for poets like you, Diane. We might need. I love it.
Yeah,
that's so great that you're so active and so involved and connecting with other poets.
It's been very good, I have to say. It's not so good as far as seeing family or seeing friends and getting together for a coffee or whatever. I have COVID hair yet. I still haven't had my hair cut since February.
I'm cleverly concealing my ponytail here.
Well, mine's a little unruly, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm not quite ready for that yet.
Well, you use enough product and anything's possible.
That's true. That's true.
Oh gosh! Before I forget to ask you, also, we kind of left Tehachapi, but what's the music venue there? You've posted some things on Facebook about.
Fiddler's Crossing.
Okay.
Fiddler's Crossing is what they call a listening room.
Okay.
It's not a restaurant. It's not a coffee shop. They have an open mic every Wednesday night at 7:30, and that's on Zoom now. So we do that, both Roger and I. Wednesday night, we have our Zoom. We have old friends on there, and then there are new people. And right now, there's LA people. I mean, there are people from all over, Germany even. Wow. And they're tuning into the open mic, which is more music than poetry. Tehachapi could not really support just poetry.
Okay.
But there's a lot of acoustic music, and that's what it is an acoustic listening room, and they have jamming going on, and mostly folk music.
Okay.
And it's a great thing. So
open
look
mic
it up
kind
on
of
Facebook.
Format. Fiddler's Crossing in Tehachapi.
Yeah, it's on Facebook, and they'll send you a link to Zoom in on Wednesday nights. So
the little bits I've seen, it just looked intriguing, and it had the Tehachapi connection, and wonderful. What else? You want to read another poem or what?
Yeah, I could do that. Maybe I could show a couple of mosaics that I have.
Good. If you've got, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
For our regular viewers, we lost our StreamYard connection. And so we don't have the usual wonderful graphic display that Alex Cecina puts up for us. So we're doing this old school on Zoom. So
if you could call Zoom old school. Yes.
Well, I know, right? Well, what can I say? But share with us. We'd love. Oh, look at that.
Well, this is one, and it has the little.
What do you call the elements that you kind of borrow and reconfigure? And
I just call them mosaic add-ons or doodads.
Add-ons, yeah.
And so this on the bottom,
there's the perch.
Has little dangly things. It's part of a belt.
Yeah.
And this leaf is part of an old cuckoo clock, the pendulum.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a Mexican Talavera salt and pepper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then...
Is that some Delft ware that I see broken and reconfigured?
Yes, that's what
pretty
that
blue
is.
and white porcelain, yeah.
And this was a Don Quixote face
Oh,
that Roger had because he loves Don Quixote.
yes.
And it was broken on the floor in many pieces, and I saved the head to put the
Good,
head on the
good for
side.
you.
And marbles and coral and just a little bit of everything, floor
So
tile.
these are decorative birdhouses. Probably won't find them hanging in a tree at your home.
No,
Yeah,
unless you just did it before the rainy season.
they're
So,
just too beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, or they can be on a shelf or something. And
How fun.
this is one of the garden guys, I guess you could
Oh,
call him.
yeah.
And he has a little trowel, and he has a face of the Green
Oh,
Man.
there. I was going to say,
tile.
that's the Green Man? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he has another little
Huh?
Talavera Day of the Dead
Dia
sort
de
of
los
thing.
Muertos. Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, all of the broken tile in the grout, broken plates.
I want to just study every square inch. There's a story in every corner.
Kind of there is, and kind of I remember, sadly enough, where I got some of these pieces.
Well,
And
good
this
for
is
you.
an owl.
Oh, wow.
And
Now,
that
how'd you
again
create the image of
has,
the owl? What's that from? How did that
that
start?
was the center of a plate. That was a
Oh,
nature plate, Nature Conservancy sort of owl plate of
did
the
you
great snowy owl.
did you break it on purpose or was it a?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're killing
I
me.
broke it to get the head,
Yeah.
with glass cutters.
Okay.
So you can do that
It
too.
you had a higher calling for that plate.
Yes. And then last year I did some Christmas trees.
Oh,
And these are, again, you have broken plates and you have like
wow.
the little, this is from a necklace of the
I
little
like the light
Christmas
bulb. Yeah.
bulbs. And again, jewelry is a bracelet and an old chain.
Gee,
And they kind of make up the garland of the Christmas tree. So
how beautiful.
that I just had a few of those there to show.
I'm gonna go down to the kitchen and see if I can break up some old plates and get started here.
Oh, it's therapeutic. You put them in a pillowcase, take a hammer,
Is
go
that
in the
it? And then,
garage on the cement
oh.
floor and just have at it. So,
Oh my gosh.
and then of course, friends will save broken things for me. So that's nice too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that works really well.
So yeah, let's have another poem.
Okay, let me see which one.
Diane has a never-ending supply. Whenever I've heard her read in person, it's always a show. It's just hearing the author read a poem is their own work is something I've enjoyed all my life. I went through a whole phase of finding recordings at the library of T.S. Eliot reading his stuff, or Sylvia
Yes.
Plath, or
Wonderful.
whoever was. Of course, and having a professional actor read famous poetry is okay too, but the author reading their own work, and it's always so different than when I read it. It just makes it really come to life. And
It's nice because you can hear what the author was intending,
Yeah.
their pauses and their,
Yes.
Emphasis on certain words. So
all those nuances, yeah,
yes, true.
we love it.
That's why when we're in group, we like to have the poet read their own, so you can hear it in their voice, which is
Yes.
very important. So, okay, this is called Elements. Such a dream I had last night. Under the covers, my portable book light losing brilliance, my battery needing a charge, losing Wordsworth Place to darkness as the book dropped down on the floor next to Freud. Such a dream I had last night. A gale was calling my name, an undercover echo in my ears. I fought to stay in bed, did not want to wake too soon. The wind, nearly entering window pane, could shatter protective glass. Such a dream I had last night. Voices floating in the storm, imploring me to join them. I was warm and away from the howling, hurting hurricane fury. I reached out for more blankets to hide from the siren sirocco stirring me. Such a dream I had last night. This morning, I awoke exhausted. Looking around the room, blankets on the floor, the book light smashed and broken. Astonished, unbelievingly, I saw all my carefully crafted poems strewn in a circle on the floor beneath the window, unlocked and thrown wide open.
Oh my gosh. Did you borrow the title sentence, Such a Dream I Had?
Yes.
Simon and
Yes.
Garfunkel?
Yes.
Yeah, oh good.
Such a dream I had. Yeah.
I'm dating myself here, but I was resonating. That's a beautiful use of that phrase. Oh, what a dream. Ooh. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, we like to finish up these conversations by borrowing 10 questions that James Lipton used to ask of all of his guests on his show, The Actors Studio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of a fun. What's the word when you write to a prompt? It's kind of an interview prompt that we like, and it opens up some other avenues for discussion, and we may or may not want to expand on any of them, but let's give it a try. So Diane, Madam Wordsmith, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word for years has been sublime.
Sublime.
Just sublime.
What is your least favorite word?
Probably can't.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't, you know, and you know, yeah, I can't.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Possibility. You know, seeing what could be, and seeing. When I was younger, I would look at real estate that way. I could see the potential, which could have been a nightmare, you know, had you actually done this. But I tend to see the potential in things, whether it's, you know, the mosaic doodad that you could put on a certain piece in a certain place, or whether it's the, you know, rescue dog that you could rehabilitate. Or I look at possibilities instead of, I'm not going to bother, you know.
Well, that makes perfect sense as an artist, visual and literary arts artist, you know, the potential in something you've seen or experienced, or as you say, a found object that you can reconfigure, and seeing the potential. That's beautiful. What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Naysayers and negative people. And I guess it goes along with I can't, you know, oh, I don't, you know, it's a beautiful day. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, I love the sound of the rain. Oh, it's too damn. They've got a reason for everything.
Can't win.
Come up with.
Yes, you can't win.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Oh, bullshit.
All right. Any questions? What sound or noise do you love?
The rain. You know, I miss the summer rain of back east. Yeah. You know, we have all these months with nothing, and I love falling asleep to the rain. Even the thunderstorms, I loved it. So.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. What sound or noise do you hate?
More since moving to California, fireworks. You know, my dogs get so turned into bowls of jello. My little chihuahua's up on my shoulder vibrating for hours, and
it's so hard.
You know, they really hate it, and you know, they're around for no reason lately, it seems. But yeah.
Yep. I hear you. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would have, and I've said this to people, I would have, having it to do over, had a double major in geology and botany.
Oh, the natural sciences.
Oh yeah, I love rocks and minerals. I have a big collection of them, and I love to garden. And you know, this is a perfect area for gardening. I have to say that our whole area is just wonderful. There's no winter. There's no, you know, things are outside year round. Yeah. It's wonderful. So
well, you got to cover up those frost. You know, we're always pushing the envelope, and I try to bring in some of the frost sensitive tropicals that I had growing up in Florida and LA.
Oh yeah.
You know, you got to
Yeah.
watch the bougainvilleas and the hibiscus and the caladiums, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
short of that, you're absolutely right. We cover
Yeah.
them up and put them in the greenhouse, and they winter over. What profession would you not like to pursue?
Probably the corporate office type job, where you don't get out of the office ever, and you're just there. You know, if you're lucky, you might have a view. If you're unlucky, you're in a cubicle or a windowless room, and you're just there all day long with paperwork and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. And last but not least, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
you made it.
Congratulations. Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Well, this has been such a treat, Diane. I know we'll be talking lots more and seeing you on Zoom and ultimately in person, I know, and watch
Yes.
YubaSutterArts&Culture for more things that Diane will be leading in the literary arts in our community, as well
Looking
as all over the
forward to
country.
it.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that and love your support and for the things that we're doing, you and Roger both. So thanks to our technical support team, producer Abby Cecina, technical director Alex Cecina. Until next time, Artist Alchemy, next Tuesday, we'll be interviewing Marysville native. He's a designer and historian, Mr. Stuart Gilchrist. So
Wonderful guy.
we'll look forward to talking to Stuart. So until then, take care, be artful, and be safe. Take care. Goodbye.
Thank you. Good night.